Cronos: The New Dawn was a surprisingly unique experience, despite looking and feeling a lot like Dead Space, which is something that I feel actually helps the game's first impression, as I believe that series is fantastic. If you enjoy those games, it's my belief you'll enjoy this one too. It's familiar enough to have you mentally taking notes of similarities between the two, but different enough that you'll forget about Dead Space entirely once the story pulls you in and gets you immersed into the bizarre, grotesque, retro-futuristic world of Cronos: The New Dawn. The first, and maybe one of the most important aspects I'd like to talk about, is sound. The ambiance, enemy sounds, and environmental sounds are done quite well. Bloober has a habit of having great sound design in their games, and I'd say they're experts at it with all the other games they've done great jobs on. The voice acting is also top-notch and very immersive, with some scenes leaving you feeling a kind of way.
Keep your hands off her, you! I was right all along! I knew you were real!
Are you crazy? Do something!
Listen! It's the government! It's one of them!
One of them? Not this again. I've had it. Fuck this bullshit!
Angela!
They also have amazing music. I'm an absolute sucker for great music in games. Looking at you, Claire Obscure. But this game has some bangers too. It's so good and it's so fitting to the atmosphere. The music is mostly retro synthwave, giving me some major Stranger Things vibes, with some sprinkles of Mass Effect thrown in there. There's other genres as well, but these ones stuck out most to me. Speaking of genres, this one is obviously horror survival, but if we're throwing descriptors out there, it also has a sci-fi Twilight Zone kind of feel to it as well. The game is described to take place in a retro-futuristic world where you time jump between a 1980s Poland to a future world that is the Traveler's world. That's us, the Traveler. Your character is pretty unfamiliar feeling and unknown to the player at the beginning of the game, but through natural game progression, you gather more information about your character and the world around you. The pacing in this game is done very well in my opinion. There's a lot of information to obtain, but the game does a good job of not overwhelming you and letting you find out the pieces bit by bit, leaving the sense of unknowing lasting very long throughout the game. The game does a good job of giving you what you need to know for the story along the way. But if you want the extra world building or the extra lore for characters to make them feel more alive and to give them more of a past, present, and future, then you can find plenty of background and flavor doing just that throughout the game. This does allow you to immerse yourself more in the horrifying events that transpired in most of the areas you visit, and I definitely recommend taking the time to find and read the notes and posters that you see. If that's not something you enjoy doing, luckily the most pertinent information is voice acted for your convenience. And you can even loot and wander around while listening to most travel logs or other forms of dialogue that don't pull you into a cutscene. And I do recommend looting and wandering around, quite often. The game is very rewarding to those who like to explore. Cronos is overall a pretty linear game. Bloober just gives us the option of exploring with lots of different rooms, hallways, and other optional open areas for you to explore, rewarding you not only with lore, ammo, and other resources, but also with kitties. Yeah, there's cats in this game. And you can pet them.
Are you glad to see me, cat?
Ten out of 10 game right there. Now, after talking about what we can loot and pet, that brings us to the inventory. And to no one's surprise who's ever played a survival horror game before, it's very limited. But it's limited space with upgrades you can buy throughout the game. Early on it is rough as you do have to carry key items such as keys, bolt cutters, fuses, etc. in your inventory along with your guns, ammo, and healing items. You do have a separate inventory for resources, which is really nice, but also really limited early on. This is yet another thing you can choose to upgrade throughout the game. There are stashes near most of the save points for storing items you may have excess of but you don't want to get rid of, or items you might be saving up for that next boss fight. If you find yourself struggling with inventory space early game, my free tip to you is, alongside the obvious inventory upgrades, is upgrade your gun's ammo capacity so you can hold more ammo in the gun and not have to carry as much in your inventory. There's also a buy-sell option so you can sell valuables you collect in the game for more currency, which is called energy in this game, and you can choose to either save up for upgrades or buy stuff like ammo or healing if you find yourself running low. The game gives you lots of options, so if you're struggling with one thing, there's usually some other options to help you out. You also eventually get multiple weapons and multiple types of each weapon that allows you to even further play the way you want. Combat can be brutal in some areas and does require skill and thought into what you are doing. Missed shots can be devastating in some areas, especially on the hard difficulty, leaving you with an all too empty inventory. Sometimes you have to devise a strategy for some encounters and suffer through a few reloads or determine whether or not this is a fight or flight situation. There were definitely instances I reloaded my game because I wasted too much ammo or decided to run instead of kill everything. Combat feels frantic without feeling too confusing or frustrating. You are given lots of tools for destruction, whether it's melee, different weapons, using your special time abilities, or using the items in your environment to aid you. And those are fun. The only thing I found combat to be lacking in was a good dodge button, in my opinion. Certain situations felt a little clunky or frustrating as you try to just get away from some enemies to either reload, find a moment to craft some healing or ammo, or to try to find something to utilize in the environment. With that being said, this is a horror game, and combat is probably meant to make the player feel anxiety, tension, and desperation while adrenaline flows through you trying to survive and not so easily dodge away from the enemies. So overall, this is a minor gripe, and honestly combat is so fun and involving most of the time, it more than makes up for that small complaint. There's not a lot of variety to the enemies you fight, which sounds lame, but it doesn't hurt the game at all like you'd think it would. Bloober did a great job on the enemies where the variety falls into them merging from the dead ones and changing into more powerful versions. This can happen numerous times if you let it, and can cause you to have to fight an extremely powerful enemy in a less than ideal situation. This gives combat more of a random feel, as merging can happen differently depending how good or bad the fight goes for you, or in what sequence certain events take place. It's kinda hard to explain. Let me show you an example of a fight I did in hard mode that was ridiculously hard my first attempt due to an enemy merging several times, but my second attempt was a piece of cake and took less than half the time.
Stop! I didn't catch you in time. You suck. Stop! Oh my god, and you made me waste a bullet. Stop it. I swear to fucking god. I'm gonna drop the ammo. I'm gonna drop some ammo. I'm not doing so hot. Stop! I see you! You stop it! You nerd! That is such ass. That is actually ass. How'd you finish merging so fast, man? Are you gonna go merge again? What did I just say to you? Oh my god, you merged again. I don't think I've ever had anything merge that many times on me. To be honest, I'm kind of fucked. I'm kind of fucked because of it. And this is on hard? Yeah, boy, this is going swell. So how many ammo? You'll give me a chance. Thank you, buddy. That's so kind of you. How much health do you have, my friend? You're taking so much ammo, it's not even... Oh, there's no explosive there. That's fine, I didn't want to do that anyways. Oh, cabin factory. Fuck that. It's wild. No, nobody making over here. Shoot, sir. Get that. Really, that was it? Wow. That was so much faster. So much better.
Aside from combat and exploration, there are some very minor puzzles to solve, none of which are super complicated, so no worries for any of you puzzle haters out there. There is one horror fan favorite, the obligatory fuse puzzles.
A generator. It is lacking 2 fuses.
There are also areas you can't access until you get something later on in the game that you'll need to backtrack to, but it's done in a way that doesn't feel super annoying. The game is very good about giving you shortcuts to get back to where you need to go most of the time, and where there is any heavy backtracking, it's not super often and it's done really well, so you don't feel the nuisance of it. Overall, if you're a fan of survival horror games and you enjoy great music and sound design, lots of extra optional lore that is not required but there if you want it, an upgradable inventory that makes you really plan out what to bring and what to leave, a simple but effective crafting system, multiple weapon types with upgrades, a fast-paced combat where timing is critical but also makes you think quick, minor puzzles that are mostly easy but unique feeling, a little bit of backtracking but done in a non-cumbersome way, multiple skins to wear that are purely aesthetic, and replayability, then I think this game is very worth you picking up and giving a try. And did I mention there are cats? My final rating for this game is a 9.5. I only take a bit off for the annoyance I felt with the lack of any type of dodging, which I know is a small personal gripe, but it's really the only one I had. Quite honestly, Cronos was my favorite horror game of 2025. I played it twice back to back and absolutely loved every minute of it. I got all the endings and made sure to find all the kitties. I do have videos showing all of the endings, how to find all of the cats, and all the costumes that were available at the time I played the game as well. I'll be sure to link all of those in the description below. I'm still new to this stuff, so if you like my content, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It really does mean a lot.
Such as you are calling.
If you have any suggestions for my next video or what I could be doing better, also let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching.